Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my Volume 2 of my standout games on the Atari 7800. A few months ago, I made a video covering some of the most interesting and underrated titles on the system, and a lot of you really enjoyed it. So today, we're diving into Volume 2. For all you 7800 fans out there, who just want to hear someone talk about this weird little console, or maybe you're looking for something new to play. Either way, this is for you. Because yeah, the 7800 may have crashed and burned commercially, but it still ended up with some genuinely cool, surprising, and downright fun games. I've been digging through the library, playing random titles, and I've found even more standouts worth talking about. So kick back, relax, and let's take a look at some of the more interesting games on the 7800. Now this might come as a shock to absolutely no one, but I don't like sports games. Yeah, big surprise. I play almost every genre under the sun, but sports games, that's one aisle I walk right past. Part of it is simple. I don't like sports in real life, so why would I boot up a video game just to pretend I'm doing something I could join a team for if I really wanted to? But with that being said, this game, Basketball, is actually really fun. What is Basketball? Great question. Imagine basketball, but you remove every rule, every ounce of sportsmanship, and the referee is throwing knives at you. And then you add punching. That's basketball. You play as a bunch of neighborhood kids, each with their own stats. You've got nerds, you've got jocks, and a handful of others. And the whole point is simple. Beat the absolute living daylights out of the other team and score. It's like real basketball, except now you can punch people in the face. And who doesn't like punching people in the face? The game isn't super deep mechanically, and it's definitely on the simple side of things, but it's still a blast. There are a few different courts and levels, and honestly, I kind of wish it had a story explaining why these kids are out here committing aggressive assault over a pickup game. I mean, come on, a story mode in this game would have been amazing. But even without that, it's fun. And honestly, if more sports games were like this, not just play the sport, but play the sport with absolute chaos and rule breaking, I'd probably enjoy the genre a whole lot more. Next, we've got Ball Blazer, the very first game ever made by Lucasfilm. Yeah, that Lucasfilm. Also, what's with the Atari 7800 and having bizarre sports games? I'm not complaining a bit, but this console has some of the wackiest sports titles I've ever seen. So what is Ball Blazer exactly? Well, it's 3D, so let's plug it in and find out! Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I have absolutely no idea what's happening. I thought this was gonna be like most Atari games, where you just boot it up and get it instantly. Nope. I'm confused as hell. So you know what? Let's go find ourselves a manual.
This is what you guys do.
And here's how this game actually works. It's basically future soccer. Ball Blazer doesn't have a deep narrative, but it does have a surprisingly detailed sci-fi setup explaining the sport. It's the year 3097. You're piloting a rotofoil in zero gravity on an asteroid, and you're trying to score goals with something called a plasmorb. There's even lore about you being the first Earthling to reach the championship finals against an alien named Zartatar. The manual has pages of story, character, and world building. Even a question and answer section for one of the people who plays Ball Blazers. But somehow it never explains to you the actual controls. It explains to you how to play, but it never actually gives you a control list. But the Atari 7800 doesn't exactly have a ton of buttons, so I guess they assumed you'd figure it out eventually, which I did. You might be wondering, how do you play this game if it's in 3D? And you have so few buttons on the 7800 controller? Great question. And you don't control the camera. You're always facing one of two things: the ball or the goal you're trying to score in. That's it. You grab the ball, you zoom towards the goal, and if your opponent gets it, you chase them down and try to intercept their shot. It sounds complicated, but honestly, it's not at all once you get the hang of it. It's actually a lot of fun. Also, this is one of the only games to use the Pocky chip, which means it actually has good music. And not just good, adaptive. The soundtrack changes based on what's happening in the match, and it fits the whole futuristic sport vibe perfectly. If you got a friend to play this with, I definitely recommend giving this one a try. It's fast, it's weird, and it's one of the only 8-bit 3D games out there. A real novelty, and a pretty fun one. While we're talking about 3D games, we might as well bring up Pole Position 2, which was actually the pack-in title, the Atari 7800. Now, I did a full video on the entire Pole Position series not too long ago, but I'll give you a quick rundown of the 7800 version here. For starters, it's a racing game, obviously, but not in the modern finish in first place sense. Pole Position 2 is more like a time attack racer. You're not fighting for first place, you're fighting against the clock. You do a qualifying lap, and then a few laps around the track, and passing cars doesn't move you up in the ranking, it just gives you more points. And just to be clear, this game is a single player experience. I thought I would throw that out there. The 7800 version of the game, though, has decent graphics, and the sound is actually pretty decent for a 7800 game. I'll give it that. I actually like the sound design in this port, honestly. It's pretty... I don't know how to describe it. Just sounds good. Now, I still think the best way to play Pole Position 2 is on the My Arcade cabinet, but the 7800 version is absolutely solid. With 4 tracks to pick from, it'll keep you entertained for a while. And like most 7800 games, it's something you can just pop in and play for a bit and unwind. It's cool, and it definitely deserves its spot as a standout title on the system. Next up is Atari Warriors, which is basically a Commando clone. And I heard it was good, so of course I had to try it. And yeah, it's pretty decent. You play as 2 commandos, Colonel Raph Jones, the red guy, and the second, Lieutenant Clark, the blue guy. Your mission is to fight your way to the village of Atari to rescue a captured high-ranking officer named Colonel Cook. Tanks, soldiers, and helicopters, basically everything wants to try to keep you from getting there. And judging by the opening, it looks like they planned to fly in, but their pilot clearly flunked flight school.
Makes you think that?
We've lost engine 1. And engine 2 is no longer on fire.
Buckle up, boys. Attention! This is your captain speaking. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is we'll be landing immediately. The bad news is we're crash landing.
Gameplay-wise, you start at the bottom of the screen and push upward towards the village, while waves of enemies try to stop you. It plays a lot like Commando, but with a few key differences. The music isn't as good, and the graphics aren't quite as sharp, but I'll give Atari Warriors one big point over Commando: the grenades. In Commando, the grenades, you can only throw them straight up. In Atari Warriors, you can throw the grenades in all 8 directions, which is a huge improvement in my opinion. Also, you can drive tanks, and that's also a huge bonus in my book. Now, I will warn you, this game is brutally difficult. When you first start, you're probably gonna die within like 5 seconds. But if you keep playing, you'll slowly get further and further into the game and get better at it. It's tough, like extremely tough, but it's fun. And the best part? It's 2-player co-op. So if you like Commando and want something similar with a few extra features, Atari Warriors will most certainly scratch that itch. Next up, we have a late 7800 release, Alien Brigade. This one is actually a light gun shooter, and it supports the Atari XG1 light gun. I don't have one, so unfortunately I couldn't test it the way it was meant to be played. But if you guys ever played this game with a light gun back in the day, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm very curious to know if it actually was a good experience or not. Anyway, even if you don't have a light gun, you can still play with a controller, which works just fine. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't enjoy this game that much. The premise is simple. You're part of the Alien Brigade, and your job is to wipe out all the aliens. Classic light gun rail shooter stuff. But here's the catch. If you shoot one civilian, just one, at the end of the level, this idiot will court-martial you and lecture you about accidentally shooting someone. And I'm like, sir, they ran right in front of my gun while I was trying to save the planet. That sounds like a them problem. So yeah, friendly fire is very much turned on in this game, and it's not shy about punishing you for it. There isn't a ton to say beyond that. It's straightforward light gun gameplay. Shoot enemies as they pop up, occasionally deal with tanks or helicopters, toss a grenade here and there. Technically, you have limited ammo, but enemies drop so much of it that you're basically never gonna run out. The graphics are pretty decent. The music, well, the music sucks. But it is cool seeing a light gun shooter run on an 8-bit system. But overall, this game really wasn't my thing. Next up, we have Robotron 2084. And yeah, this one threw me for a loop at first. When I booted it up, I had absolutely no idea what was happening. But thankfully, it doesn't take long to figure out. The manual helps a bit, but honestly, the gameplay is simple enough that you can figure it out pretty quickly. The one thing that confused me at first was shooting. I assumed you would shoot in the direction you were facing, like most games. Nope, You actually have to be moving in the direction you want to fire. Turns out the original arcade cabinet had used 2 joysticks, one for movement and one for shooting, and the Atari 7800, as well as the 5200, even had an accessory that mimicked that setup. I played with a normal controller, and it still is totally playable. It just takes a minute to adjust to it. And also, you cannot be standing still for a second. You will be moving around at all times. And there is a story to the game, but it's not really necessary to enjoy it. Basically, in the year 2084, humanity created the Robotrons, which are basically killer AIs. And shocker, they turned against us. You play as, well, I'm not entirely sure what you're playing as in this game. All the manual says is you're immune to reprogramming, whatever that means. So I'm guessing you're some kind of cyborg hero whose job is to rescue all the humans and blast everything else into scrap metal. Anyway, each level drops you into a chaotic arena full of enemies, and you rescue humans by touching them for bonus points, and you shoot literally everything else. Once you clear the level, you move on to the next one. Simple, fast, and absolutely frantic. It looks completely insane at first, but once you understand the premise, it's super easy to get into, and honestly, a lot of fun. It even has a multiplayer, so if you have anyone who will actually play Atari 7800 games with you, you can definitely have a blast with this one. Me personally, I'm going to use this game as training for whenever AI inevitably decides it's going to try to take over the planet. So yeah, those are some more games that really stand out to me on the Atari 7800. This console has a surprising number of hidden gems, and that's why I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you consider to be standout games on the 7800. I'm planning a Volume 3, and for that one, I'll be pulling directly from your suggestions. The 7800 crowd is, let's just say, very passionate about their favorites, so I'm sure I'll end up discovering some really interesting hidden gems. Also, if you want to support the channel, my studio releases games too. And Nova Rebellion, our first game, is out right now on itch.io and Steam. You'll find the links in the description, along with a link to our Discord server if you want a place to hang out and talk about games. Anyway, leave your suggestions in the comments down below. That'll be all for today. This is Troy Schultz, the Anti-Gamer Slayer, signing off!